Welcome to Life, Love and Lumpia with Ovvian Hill. Today, my guest is none other than my son, Brendan Edward Hill. Hello, Brendan.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this with your mom. Apparently, you've been voluntold to do this.
Yeah.
But, I'm very curious about, even if your family, sometimes you want to get to know people in your family a little bit more and see their perspective. And I wanted to find out more about the perspective of a young man growing up in Fort St. John about life, love, and lumpia. So now we can start with the life portion of our podcast. So Life, Love, and Lumpia. Brendan, welcome to this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been in the background filming a lot of the other guests, so.
Right, yeah, so that gives you a very good perspective, an idea of what this is going to be like. So anyway, with the love portion, you even know what the questions are, but can you tell me what's your origin story? How did you come to Fort St. John, and how did you get here? Who was with you?
Well, I mean, of course you know, but so I was born in, is it Muntinlupa?
Yeah, Muntinlupa. Mm-hmm.
In the Philippines. However, my dad is Canadian, right? But I was born there, but my dad was there, so then I got citizenship immediately. But due to, in the Philippines having lots more family on your side, I didn't actually get to Canada until I was, I think, a year and a half old.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But yeah, ever since then, I've been mainly living here.
In Fort St. John.
In Fort St. John.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember very vividly when you were born. That was in 2009. And yeah, Daddy was there. The day that you came out was the day he arrived. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we were just joking, saying that, oh, you really wanted to meet your dad because you weren't due for another week. But you wanted to come out right away. Yeah, so you're impatient. But you were a very big baby, I'd have to say. You were 9.7 pounds, which, funnily enough, the pediatrician was saying you were a 2-month-old newborn because you were the size of a 2-month-old baby. Mm. Yeah, and you had a very full head of hair.
Well, clearly both of those things have translated into my physique now. So.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Let's not judge what that. Oh, anyway, since living in Fort St. John, can you tell us what's your day like in Fort St. John in the summertime?
Well, I'm not really much of an outdoor person, and I'm also not much of a social person. So, in the summertime, when the weather is, good enough to go outside, I don't really leave our property that much. I will hang out in the backyard, with my dog and, the family. But unless it's out like with friends or anything like that, I don't really leave the property that often.
Right. Well, I did notice though that you do hang out with your friends. Where do you guys go in the summertime?
Well, we go to like McDonald's and Walmart. And then, they're just like fun places to hang out and also get food. And then, like in the summertime, a lot of the time we'll go out to Fish Creek or, like other parks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know some of the other interviews you've had here have said too that they like going to Fish Creek. It's one of those places here in Fort St. John that people who want to see nature, they go to Fish Creek.
Yeah, it really stands out as like it's one of Fort St. John's main features, I
right.
feel.
Well, it is very accessible for one. and you do get that kind of outdoorsy forest feeling, even if you're within city limits. What about the wintertime? What's the day like for you in the wintertime?
Well, the winters here do last very long, and they're very cold, so I spend basically all of it inside. I know that some people like to go outside in the wintertime. I'm not one of those people. But generally, like, I have a lot of hobbies that, are more techie or, more inside activities. So I use winter as a time to explore those hobbies a lot.
Right.
Really, in my free time.
Well, okay, so you've been doing a lot of your techie hobby stuff, right? Can you tell us more about that? And also, if you weren't in Fort St. John doing what you do, what would you be doing elsewhere?
So, so I have three main hobbies, really. The first one is video games. I do play video games quite a bit. But the other two are more interesting. One of my hobbies is building model rockets. So, rockets that are generally in the 1 to 1.5 meter length range, but they actually fly. And I engineer them. I've put flight computers on them before, and programmed them to, make to guide itself through the air and stuff like that. And I really enjoy aerospace engineering. It's one of my passions, and my hobby of model rocketry is my way of expressing that in person. With my hands.
Right.
And then
So I guess making the rockets, other than your mind working, putting things together, your hands, so it's like it's multi-pronged. Like, you have to have lots of skills to do this, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is good about a hobby like that, is that I've learned a lot from just doing the rockets. And I guess I haven't talked about one of my main motivators for doing them yet, but I really I really learn a lot when doing it, like stuff like coding and electronics and stuff like that. I didn't know 6 months ago, but
Right.
Through just pure passion and drive to learn how to improve at my hobby, I end up learning things.
I imagine there's certain challenges in a hobby like this, since we live in Fort St. John versus, say, maybe a bigger city. Can you talk about some of those challenges, and what do you do to overcome those challenges with regards to your particular hobby?
Well, with model rocketry, actually, in terms of BC, we live in probably one of the best places for model rocketry. We have a lot of open fields here, and farmland and stuff like that, which is great places to launch rockets because they can land very far away. I'm sure if we lived in somewhere very mountainous or very forested, it would be much harder for me to pursue my hobby.
Right.
But I mean, there definitely are better places to live for the hobby, but I don't really have many complaints.
Right. Well, that's
much,
good to know.
so.
But also, I think this I can speak of, that it's great that we have friends who can lend support, where, we have some friends who have farm property, who have been so gracious to let us be able to launch rockets in their property. And not so far away from Fort St. John, right? Yeah, so pretty quick drives.
And also, the main motivator really for the rocketry is actually, so I actually started my rockets as a science fair project. And originally it was just for the regional science fair here in our school district. but that year that I did it, there weren't that many people who actually signed up for it. So I basically got a free win in the regional science fair. So then that allowed me to go to the national science fair. And that was back in 2024. And I really enjoyed my time there, although, you know, my project was not nearly as good as everybody else's there. But that really drove me to pursue the more technical aspects of the hobby. You know, like that project was, like that project that year was really more just, like it was very elementary compared to my project the next year, this year, 2025, where I really stepped up my game, so to speak, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will talk a little bit more about your love and passion in the next segment of Life, Love, and Lumpia. So now we're going to be doing the love aspect of Life, Love, and Lumpia. And Brendan, you can talk to us about your passions and your passion projects. I know earlier you did tell us about the rocketry and how you have participated in the national, was it called Canada-wide?
It's called the Canada-wide Science Fair.
So you were part of the group that represented the region once again in 2025. Can you tell us more about the 2025 Canada-wide Science Fair, where it happened, who you were with, and yeah, what was that experience like for you?
So the Canada-wide Science Fair, the city that it is held in varies from year to year, but generally it's held in some sort of university. So in 2024 it was held in Carleton University in Ottawa. However, in 2025 it was held in the University of Fredericton in New Brunswick. And yeah, I got to go there with you know, a group of other winners from our regional science fair, and overall it was a great time and it was a great learning experience. Although I do have to say, New Brunswick is very, very warm and very humid. It reminded me of the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Actually.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, the Philippines is very humid, but yeah, it is coastal by the Atlantic Ocean. And
I mean, the thing is that, so we got to go to the coast, and when you're on the coast, it's nice because there's the ocean breeze, but Fredericton is inland and also like surrounded by forests, so there's no breeze at all. It's just all heat. And then also whatever genius built that university decided to build it on the side of like a hill, so you have to walk up and down everywhere, and it was just annoying.
But it was built when, what, 17 something, wasn't it?
Yeah, the university is like 300 years old or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing though is that the dorm we stayed in, it was built in like the 1940s or something, and I have to say, I know I'm just like complaining, but the inside of that dorm reminded me of like a mental asylum. It was horrible. But I mean, other than that, I did have a great time there, and you know, like you got to try some good seafood and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Learned a lot of science. Got to meet interesting people, and I didn't win anything that year, but I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna do in 2026. So.
Okay. So you did mention that you have other passions other than the making your rockets. Can you tell us, because you had 3, right? Can you tell us about the other ones?
Well, I mean, when I said 3, it was more like the techie related ones. I have one more after that. But my last sort of hobby in the same realm as, you know, like sort of like scientific, is astronomy. I own several telescopes, and I enjoy bringing them out at night and looking at the. I enjoy bringing them out at night and looking at the stars and you know, the planets, and yeah, that is one of my passions as well. But my last passion, which is actually out of all of these 4, it was my very first one, is I am a massive history buff. I really enjoy history, many different periods, and
yeah, well, I mean, I know this to be true. You're quite knowledgeable about different eras. and we have watched some YouTube together.
Yeah.
I mean, I know more about history than probably the next person because of you. Of all those periods, can you state a favorite? What would your favorite be? I mean, like for periods of history, and why?
Well, the truth is that as I've gotten older, my favorite period has changed mainly because, like, whenever I start studying a period, like, whenever I'm studying a specific period, that's my favorite. But then as soon as I basically learn everything I find interesting, then I stop enjoying it. So then I move on to a different era.
Right.
Over the years, it shifted from like Napoleonic to like sort of antiquity, which is like that's like 300 BC to like 480 or something like that. And then after that, it shifted more towards the medieval era, and then it shifted back towards the Dark Ages, which is like 500 AD to 1000 AD. And then now, currently, I'm in my phase of like the Renaissance and early modern eras.
Would you be interested in teaching these topics, whether it's rockets or, I mean, because I did notice that you have a very good way of explaining things. Is that something you envisage you doing? And going to that, what do you envisage yourself doing 5, 10 years from now?
Well, history is one of my main passions. However, it's not really like the career I want to pursue, because my other passion is aerospace engineering. And I really want to be an aerospace engineer when I'm older. So I plan on going to university for like mechanical engineering, and then going up to aerospace engineering. And then, yeah, then I can, like, the goal is to work for like NASA or Lockheed Martin or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that would be my dream.
We should energize those thoughts.
Yeah, I find it so cool, that field.
Yeah. Well, I know we've had these conversations before, and I always joke around that, oh, when you're older, you can only go as far as the moon. I won't let you go to Mars. It's too far. So.
But then you said
I told our dog that he could go.
You told our dog that he could go to Mars, but I can't, which I think is so unfair.
Yeah, mommy can be unfair sometimes. The things that you do, who do you do them for? Well, I mean, what inspires you, and who do you do the things that you do for?
Well, what do you mean for?
I mean, like, are you doing it for your family? Or
for
are you
myself.
doing? Oh, you're doing it for yourself. Okay, well, that's good. Okay, I guess my question is, maybe this is a better question. You know that you have aspirations of becoming an aerospace engineer, and you mentioned that you might, even as much as you love history, it's not really a career you'd like to pursue. But what are you doing now in preparation for the aerospace field? What concrete steps have you undertaken to get to that dream?
Well, you know, like, of course, there's my hobbies of model rocketry, which is me actively doing aerospace engineering, at least at a, elementary level, just on my own, which, that's always good. And then just in general, I have a lot of background knowledge from my interest. I, learned a lot about it just because I like to learn about it when looking online or stuff like that. And then, like in school, I do really well in subjects like math and science. Specifically math, I think, is my strongest subject in school, which, is good for engineering.
Right. So you're doing a lot of like the preparation work that would be required.
Yeah.
Other than those things, with your friends, what other aspirations do you have, or goals, whether here in Fort St. John or elsewhere?
Well, just overall, like throughout a lot of my older childhood and like early teens, I've really struggled with like finding motivation to do things that I need to do, or like procrastination or stuff like that, and even not just with like work or school or stuff like that, but even with like eating healthy or something, or like working out or stuff like that. And I want to have more like discipline when doing those, or like I want to have more discipline so that I can do those things instead of just procrastinating about it. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, there's we all undergo through certain stages in our lives, and definitely you're in one of people acknowledge to be the more challenging ones is the teen years. But I'm happy to know that you have those things that you're interested in, and also that you have friends who can help you navigate, because like everybody has challenges, we just have to kind of be there for each other to overcome them and approach it as a community. Okay. So now we're going to be entering the lumpia phase of our podcast of Life, Love and Lumpia. So once again, Brendan, I have here some lumpia for you to try. I know you've tried lumpia before.
Yeah, I've eaten like 6 of these today.
Okay, you want to partake? We actually have 2 kinds of lumpia there. For those of you who've never had lumpia, this is the Filipino version of a spring roll. This one that you like, this is the meat lumpia. Do you like the other kinds of lumpia?
You mean the vegetable one?
Yeah, vegetable ones.
I hate it with fiery passion.
Well, that's okay. We all have different preferences. Sometimes we have favorites. Sometimes we have not so favorites.
Well, because the thing is that I always think of lumpia as being meat. So then whenever I bite into lumpia and it's not meat, I then just get really disappointed.
Right. So I guess it's the matter of like your expectation.
Yeah.
And it's not meeting your expectations. Yeah. I know this is one of the go-to, and you know why? It's actually quite convenient for Filipinos to have, because it's something you can do ahead and you can freeze them. And then maybe if you have, you have guests over, you want to partake, then you fry some up. So if not lumpia, can you tell us about your Filipino food favorites? And, are there stories about them? I know when I've cooked sinigang or even adobo, you'd say that Lola's version is better. Lola is grandma. So shout out to my mom, Rosa Ana. Yeah. So what among those dishes would you say would be your favorites? And whose cooking is better?
So first of all, Lola is better in every single one. And also, my top 3 are, well, in no particular order. I really like nilaga, which is the very hearty beef soup. It's the kind of dish you have when you're sick or something, and it just it's very hearty and just comforting.
Right.
It's like you're getting hugged or something when you're eating it. Another one I like is machado, which is it's also beef, but it's like a tomato-based stew.
Right.
And I mean, I don't have much else to say. I think it's delicious. I love it. And then I also really like the fish tilapia. And I think that's probably one of my earliest favorites. I remember even when I was like 4 years old or something, even back then I thought that tilapia was my favorite.
Right.
Well,
I mean, the Philippines is an archipelago. There are over 7,500 islands. So, it's quite to be expected, I would say, for us to have fish as a big part of our diet. And I remember when you were very young, even with Lola around, we would fry fish and we would debone the fish for you even when you were a baby, because it was something that, we obviously had it routinely on the table. So for lunches, this kind of thing.
Can I do top 3 least favorite?
Yeah, okay, go ahead. What are your top 3 least favorite Filipino food?
Okay, I don't think any of them I've ever actually eaten, but that's because of the presentation. So first of all is balut, which is it's the duck egg that isn't it like, it's in vinegar or something?
No, well, it's the embryo, right?
Or well, okay, so yeah, it's the duck egg, but the duck egg is fertilized, so inside of it's like a boiled egg, except inside of the yolk is an actual like unborn duck. And I have no
Yes.
idea how people eat
Yeah,
that.
it's obviously an acquired taste, and you're right. Some people have it with vinegar, but some people don't. But yeah, it's one of those kind of acquired taste dishes, if you can even call it that. But yeah, I don't know how that cuisine particularly evolved, but I do know that for those who want to try it, they do sell them on occasion in the Asian stores here in town. It is, like I said, an acquired taste. To be honest, years ago, was it I don't know, in the early 2000s, you know that show, was that show where they make you do fearful things? Fear Factor. It was Fear Factor. And in Asia, eating balut was part of Fear Factor. But surprisingly enough, the people who partook of the balut in Fear Factor, first they were scared to do it, but when they actually had it, they're like, oh, this isn't so bad. This actually tastes quite good. But it apparently has some health benefits. So if not for the taste, maybe some people do it for the health benefits, or they even say it might be an aphrodisiac or something. But anyway, let's not go there. So that was the first of the ones that you don't want to partake. What are the 2 other ones that you don't want to try?
Well, honestly, I can only really think of one other one, but it's the stew that is like, it's the squid ink one.
Right, okay.
So it's a stew, but like the sauce of the stew, one of the main ingredients is squid ink.
Right.
And then also, the actual like meat of the stew is octopus?
No, it's
or
the squid. It's the squid,
Yeah.
right.
But it's just,
yeah, the presentation.
is horrific.
Yeah.
And also, like, it doesn't smell very good either.
It's actually
So
an
I've
adobo.
never tried it.
That's the squid
really?
adobo. Yeah, because adobo, the Filipino adobo anyway, is basically a vinegar stew. So it's a stew that has some vinegar in it. But the application of using squid ink in cuisine is not unique to the Philippines. There is such a thing. The Spanish, they have what they call paella negra, which is like a paella, which is the cooked rice in the big paellera that uses squid and squid ink. So that's entirely black. And you're right, it is also an acquired taste. So maybe someday when you're older and more bold and trying to do something that it's against your comfort zone or away from your comfort zone, you might want to try it. I don't know. No pressure. So those would be the 2 then? It's 2 instead of 3.
Well, I'm sure
There's more.
I'm sure there's more, but I mean, yeah.
But I remember in the Philippines, you did try a lot of Filipino street food. I know you used to like squid balls and fish balls, this kind of thing.
Yeah, I never really liked the
fish one?
No, I never really liked the sauce you dip it in.
Right, okay.
Or whatever that liquid is.
But did you like Filipino-style barbecue and the skewers?
Yeah, I like that. Although it's not like my favorite or anything.
Right.
I prefer more just the traditional like stews or soups.
Yeah, well, definitely the ones you mentioned. Nilaga is a very big one. It's a comfort food, comfort drink. So, in your here in Canada, in Fort St. John, as someone of mixed race, as having mixed race, was that ever a challenge for you?
Not really. I mean, I don't know if it's just because like I'm tall and I might look menacing to someone who might want to bully me or something, but I never really had that experience of being like discriminated against. And in general, I was treated very fairly by everybody, and
Right.
yeah, and honestly, like in this town in general, I don't really see like bullying or anything like that often, which I think is, I mean, I don't know what it's like in other towns, but I would think that that would be a thing, but here it doesn't seem to be.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I think that's something refreshing that we can talk about in Fort St. John. So, about being Filipino, though, when you were young, did you go to Filipino events? Did that help inform you? But because you used to go to the Philippines quite often, we used to go at least once a year.
Yeah.
So, in other words, would you say that you're in touch with the Filipino side of your culture, even if we live in Fort St. John?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely more Canadian than I am Filipino in terms of like my sort of culture and behavior, but I do, have a lot of knowledge of the Philippines, as I did spend a large percentage of my life there. And like I might not be able to speak Tagalog, but I recognize a lot of words, and if like someone who's speaking Tagalog is telling me like more basic sentences like like I'm gonna take a shower, for example, I'll be able to understand that.
Right.
Yeah, just simply from the background memory
Context,
of
yeah.
those words.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So, well, with that, I mean, I thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing life, love, and sharing lumpia with me. So, Brendan, thank you for indulging Mom in this podcast of Life, Love, and Lumpia. Thank you for watching, and hope you can join us for the next episode.